I like it. Hell yeah.
Thanks, man.
What's up, everyone? John here from Cast and Spear, and I want to share with you some of my most meaningful catches of 2019. If I'm looking back at 2018, I had no clue that I'd be doing any of this kind of like go around the world and catch some fish. You know, that's like Jeremy Wade style, Anthony Bourdain style, stuff that eventually I would love to get to, but right now I'm just kind of trying to get better at fishing. I'm not great at it, but I just wanted to share some of my most meaningful catches with you. So hopefully in 2020, you find yourself feeling the itch to go out there and do something crazy, whether it's going down to Baja to go spearfish some grouper, whether it's going to Thailand to catch some Mekong catfish, whatever it is that you want to do, I hope you find a way to do it. And I hope this video inspires you to try. So with that being said, here are some of my most meaningful catches. I hope you enjoy them. Definitely let me know in the comments below, what's your dream catch? All right, guys, let's go fishing.
All right, let's start the adventure off down in Baja. I took a couple of my buddies who've never spearfished before, went down with Brett over at Spear Factor. We went down to Baja and I landed one of these epic fish. This one was a 34.5-pound yellowtail, and I've never shot a fish this big. I'm pretty new to the game in spearfishing. And this one was a challenge because it just was such a powerful fish that with the reel, it all came down to line management. This big old fish was wrapping around me and it was just getting tangled all over the place. I was like, oh no, am I gonna get like pulled underwater? But thankfully I was able to wrangle it back to the boat. Let's switch gears and go into the backcountry of Yosemite to one of my favorite lakes. This is Merced Lake. I went there when I was a kid with my dad, so we decided to go back. Usually I don't use Tenkara for lake fishing. I'm still getting used to it on the streams, and I find they're a very effective tool there. But the bite was just so insane with this Tenkara that I was just using it way more than my fly fishing rod. And the thing I didn't remember is that I was always using barbless hooks. So every time I tried to show the GoPro, I kept losing my fish. All right, let's take another flight over to Thailand. We're right now in Bangkok, Thailand, going after one of my favorite fish, the Redtail catfish. These things are unique. They're not super slimy at all, actually. They feel kind of like a shark's skin. If you've ever held a shark, it's not slimy. It has kind of a coarse texture. But this fish is just, the colors on it were amazing. And I just loved it when you looked at the front. It looks like they're smiling. It's really one of the most beautiful fish I've ever seen. And this was just one of a couple that I caught on a very slow day at the lake. What I'm hoping for is to go after them in the wild. So they're native to South America, so I'd love to go to the Amazon soon to go after them. All right, let's stay in Bangkok and go after the giant Mekong catfish. This is actually a cool technique. We had beers, of course, and we used the empty bottle with the bail open and the rod on the ground as our fish detector. So as soon as the bottle fell over, you run over, you flip the bail, and you set the hook, and you're in for a treat because these guys pulled drag like crazy. And as soon as they made their first or second run, then you're able to kind of really gain some ground and get them back to shore. Don't do what I was doing. I wasn't even paying attention to where my rod was, and I almost poked my guide's eye out, so be cognizant. But look at this fish. I think they're one of the most beautiful fish around, and I believe they might actually be the largest catfish in the world. I think they're also endangered, so we should be doing our best to kind of take care of them, especially in the wild. Here we're at Bungsamran. It's a huge kind of fishing amusement park where they have a whole bunch of different species in this massive lake. And if you're in Thailand, I highly recommend you check it out. The yellowtail is a very meaningful fish to me. It's a popular one here in Southern California. It's one that my uncle used to catch all the time, and I've always wanted to catch one. And in 2019, I finally did. This was the first yellowtail I ever caught, irregardless of spearfishing or rod and reel. I've never really been successful in the party boats back in the day. I've since caught them, a lot of them, and I have a lot in my freezer, and I love this fish, but I think it's just kind of sentimental to see and remember your first yellowtail. Plus, my ponga, I wasn't paying attention and dropped my spear all the way to the bottom, so I had to practice diving deep. Now let's go over to Vietnam, and I was getting skunked like no other. I was using apps like Fishbrain, and I couldn't find any real place to go fishing. And I then went to this Vespa tour guide, and had him take me to some of the local spots. And this was a man-made lake. I was about to leave for Bangkok the next day, and I was like, bro, we need to catch a fish. So I was able to at least hook the largest carp in this lake. And it's cool because in a future video I'll show you, this kid wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I was able to help him make a sign, and we actually took the carp, took it to a local market, and I had him sell it, and it bought us 2 egg coffees, and it taught him how to negotiate and left him wanting to explore entrepreneurship, which I think is awesome. Now let's go back to Yosemite. We're in Bernice Lake. This is a lake that's about, I think, over 10,000 feet. Beautiful, beautiful lake. There are some brook trout in here. And this is one technique that I want to be focused on in 2020 a lot more. Fly fishing has always been near and dear to my heart. When I was growing up, my dad made me use a wonky rig. He used to, I think, call it the Johnny rig, which was like a clear bobber that was able to have a little bit of water so you can get some weight in it. We'd put a leader and a fly, and I would just wreck lakes when I was a kid, even streams. And I'm very much aware that that's practically cheating when it comes to fly fishing and the beauty of it and the people who take it super seriously. And I definitely didn't have a net here either, so I'm gonna get in trouble if any of the fly aficionados see this, but I just want to let you know that I'm learning. Now let's switch gears and go to the Imperial Valley, where I went with the coach and he showed me how to catch catfish. And it was just a unique experience because there's all these aqueducts that are right next to the farm area, and they're just filled with fish. They're filled with flatheads, they're filled with channel cats, and you just never assume that there were actually high quality, very tasty fish right there. Amazing time. All right, let's go back to Bangkok, back to Bungsamran, and this is one of the best looking carps you'll ever see. It's called a Siamese carp. I'm so used to catching those regular common carp that as soon as I saw this one, I was floored. This thing looks like a dinosaur. It actually kind of looks like a Pokemon, if you remember any of those cartoons from back in the day. They were just beautiful, beautiful. The scales on this were dark and just super prehistoric looking, and they put up a pretty good fight. I mean, nothing compared to that Mekong or the Redtail catfish, but just look at this guy. Look at this dinosaur. This has to be one of the most beautiful carps around. All right, let's go back to Baja. This is in the Sea of Cortez, the first time I've been to that side of Baja, and this was the 3rd trip of the year. We brought rods this time, so we didn't have to be in the water spearfishing, which was nice because sometimes the conditions weren't super great. It got a little windy, but this was my first yellowtail on rod and reel, so I wanted to put it in this video because we caught a bunch of them after this, but it was the first time I finally got to reel this sucker in, and I love how much they fight. They're just a phenomenal fish. I just love yellowtail. I love to eat them. I love their collars. I love how much they fight. They're just fun. All right, the same trip, but in the water, spearfishing, and this is where teamwork came in. This is where my buddy Matt was using the flasher to get this school of yellowtail to come in. I was making my dive, saw it between my legs, turned around, and had a pretty good shot on this one. It only took 3 trips to Baja to finally get dialed in and comfortable, but well worth it. And I just want to say thank you to all those who have helped me get better at fishing in 2019. And I hope that we can do a whole bunch more in 2020 because it's been a blast so far. Let's keep it going.
That's how we do it. Teamwork, Bernie.
Thank you, bro.
I like it. Hell yeah.
Thanks, man.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you liked it. Definitely in the comments below, let me know what fish you are going to try and catch in 2020 that is on your bucket list. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'm gonna be putting out a full-length video for each one of these different fish to kind of give you a little bit more context. And I'm definitely in 2020 gonna try and catch a lot more other fish, you know, put new experiences and new stories out there. Keep those lines tight, everyone. See ya.